Hello and welcome to the Farmer's Kitchen. We're the farmers.
That's right.
This is our kitchen. You know what? We love it when we can go out into the woods or on the water and bring back something to eat. We're going to do that today. But first of all, we have to find out, if we go to the woods to find mushrooms, it's a mushroomy time of year.
Right.
A lot of those out there I know. I know the common names from the old timers, but there's some folks out there with a social media page that says Official Kentucky Mushrooms. I've watched them, I've followed them. They know their stuff. I love those people who are focused, get down on their knees, look through the weeds, see what they can find. And we found one named Peter Ninneman. He's going to take us out there. Now we're going to see some mushrooms that you should stay away from,
Right.
but also ones that you can eat. And some of these might surprise you. So here's Peter. Today we're in search of dinner in the woods with Peter Ninneman. Hey Peter.
Hello.
I have talked to you, I have seen your Facebook page, which you might mention right now.
We have a couple of big Facebook pages, Official Kentucky Mushrooms and Bluegrass Mycological Society.
So you're the fun guy of fungi.
I guess so.
Nobody's ever told you that.
Nobody ever, nobody.
Now, the most questions that we get are, can I eat that? Now, that's very important because there are some mushrooms who will do very bad things to you. We don't want that. But that being said, this field right here, every year, something orange pops up, and I know what they are, but this is your first time seeing these, which
That's
I
right.
think is fun.
Yeah.
Tell us what they are.
So these are lobster mushrooms, and it's kind of misleading because it's actually two types of fungus. It'll be a mushroom in the genus Lactarius or Lactifluus or Russula or Russula. And then there's a parasitic fungus that comes along in the genus Hypomyces, and it transforms the mushroom all the way into this orange, weird,
Clumpy.
irregular beast. Yeah. But a very highly sought after mushroom. Nice to have in your backyard.
That's one. Let's see how many we can find today. Now we're going to show edible, inedible, but this is number one on our list. We start out with the lobster. So this goes in the bag. All right,
Yeah.
let's put it in the
Best
bag.
to eat.
Now, Peter and I can walk around and look at this stuff, and we can put it in our bag, and we can take it home. We can fry it up in butter or put it in a recipe, and we can eat it. We're responsible for what goes into our bodies. You are responsible for identifying your mushrooms. We'll do the best we can to topically help you. But when it comes right down to it, when you look at the mushroom and you decide to eat it, you better know what it is, because it's not Tim, it's not Peter, it's you. I know these are lobsters because I've eaten them, and I woke up the next day. I like waking up.
That is a red Russula. You see them very commonly. You see Russula very commonly in general. That's one of the mushrooms that can transform into a lobster mushroom when it gets attacked by the Hypomyces. There are so many different kinds. People think they know what they found when they find a red Russula, but actually there's dozens and dozens of red Russulas. Some of them are edible, some of them are not edible. You can kind of get a pretty good impression if you take a taste and spit test. So you just bite a very small amount of the cap, chew it for a second, spit it out completely. It can have a very acrid, bitter, spicy taste. That's a pretty good sign that you don't want to mess with it.
Maybe one that the beginning mushroomer should probably just let it sit there,
Yeah, probably.
just in case.
That's true for most mushrooms. If you're beginning, you should probably just kind of, that's beautiful, maybe take it home and study it.
Yeah, key it out.
Key
Learn
it
how to
out,
key things out.
Ask the pros and see what you have. Yeah, that's something that makes people pretty nervous when we tell them, hey, it's totally fine to take a little bite out of the cap. Even that really deadly toxic mushroom I was talking about earlier, Destroying Angel, so that's gonna be Amanita bisporigera. It's a white mushroom. They're not too big. They've got kind of an egg cup at the bottom, at the base, and then a skirt around the stem, and the whole mushroom is white. So that's one to know about, Amanita bisporigera, or Destroying Angel.
As long as you don't ingest.
As long as you don't consume any of it, you're totally safe. Mushrooms are also safe to touch. There are some species that a very small amount of people will have an allergic reaction to, but by and large, it's like 100% safe to touch, smell, take a bite, spit out completely any mushroom that you find. We have a couple examples of what we commonly call like milk caps or milky caps, but these have this kind of strange phenomenon that if you scratch the gills, there's this latex-like substance that comes out, this milky substance.
Here it comes.
This one's pretty common to find. It's got kind of these rings of orange and kind of orangey white coloration to it. And then on the stipe or the stem, round-ish indentations on the stem. And then the gills, this one hasn't fully opened yet. When it opens, it'll be quite a bit larger. The gills are super close together. And so because of all those features, and I know that it'll have a acrid taste as well, because I've seen this mushroom many times.
Taste it, Peter.
This is Lactarius samicola. And it'll have some, that one's coming out kind of slow, but there is some latex milk stuff coming out. And you can also cut it right down the middle. And there's usually some latex that'll come out. You can kind of see it there. Might be a little bit hard to pick up on camera, but it's wet with that.
Now, when is the best time for somebody to look for mushrooms? After a rain?
Yeah, you definitely want some moisture available because mushrooms need that to grow. But even when it's dry out, like you can kind of find some microclimates to look around. So like by creek beds, in the moss, because moss holds a lot of moisture. You know, fallen logs that are remaining to be wet, even though the ground might be dry. So I think every day is a good day to look for mushrooms, as long as you're not working on like a 3-week drought or whatever.
Yeah.
You know? All right, so this is a fun one. This is a fun one for kids and for people who want to eat. This is a type of puffball. There's a lot of different types of puffballs. This is the only one in our region, at least, that grows on wood. The binomials, Apioperidon piriform. You can call it a puffball. This is kind of unusual. They're kind of growing out of an old mushroom. You can kind of see along the trunk here, and you'll see on like fallen logs and stuff, you'll find them growing. The edibility test for these ones, you cut them down the middle. They should be all white like a marshmallow. So these ones would be good to eat. They don't have much taste, so you gotta season them and flavor them the way you want them to be. But it looks like you have enough for a meal to share. So like when it matures, it'll be really fun for kids to you can kind of poke it with your finger, poke it with a stick. A little cloud of spores comes out. That's pretty good entertainment on the cheap. There's also varieties of puffballs that grow on the ground. Most of them grow on the ground. Some of them, when they're mature, they have like purple spores, and so you can send off a big cloud of purple, which isn't something you get to do every day. So with puffballs, when you cut them open, they should be all white and no outline of a mushroom within it. That's how you know if it's edible. This is a very common mushroom in people's front yards, backyards, fields. The fancy name is Chlorophyllum molybdites, but it's called the vomiter for short because it makes you vomit if you eat it. There's some other gastrointestinal stuff that will happen too, but we'll stick to the vomiting. A lot of people try to eat these because when they're fresh, they're super beautiful and they're huge. So people pick them up and they're like, oh my gosh, like what a beautiful, huge meal this is. But actually they're very toxic. So you don't want to mess with these. Their characteristic that's most unique or interesting is that they develop green spores. And so this underside, the gill side, will turn like kind of the sickly green, which should be a pretty good indication you don't want to eat it if it looks sickly. This is the most common mushroom poisoning species. So this is a really important one to know about, and especially since they're so common.
Okay, I would describe Peter in the short time I've known him as it's just a chill guy. Doesn't get excited, he doesn't show emotion in a tremendous way. But I watched this aura blow up around him when he found this right here. I walked right by it, had a leaf on top of it. Yeah. Here's our natural footage off of my phone of you finding this.
And cut it out from the bottom. This is a really beautiful prized mushroom.
No kidding.
Yeah, so this is, we call it, the common name would be the American Caesar mushroom. They're related to the Caesar mushrooms of Europe, but genetically we have found out that they're different, they're distinct species. This is an edible mushroom. It's in the Amanita genus, which we've been talking about.
There's not too many of those you want to eat.
It's not for beginners. This is absolutely not an endorsement for amateurs to run out eating a mushroom that looks like this. But I've been looking for this mushroom for a long time, especially this month, like dedicating this month to looking for this mushroom. So it's really fun to find on your property today.
That's his excited look, by the way.
Yeah.
So we're gonna eat some of this on camera, right?
This is also a little bit rare in that it's one of just a few mushrooms that you can eat raw. So most mushrooms you're supposed to cook to cook off toxins and to break down some of the molecular structure for your GI system. But this is one you can eat in at least reasonable portions raw. So I've never had them before because this is the first one I've ever held.
All right,
But
let's
yeah,
do it.
Bon appetit. I'm
Bon
just gonna
appetit.
take a little piece of the cap. You gonna try some?
What do you think?
It's good.
Is it good? What would you compare it to?
I don't know, it's like more mushroomy than I expected. I thought maybe I'd heard something about it tasting like a fine cheese, but this is maybe a little mushroomy. I wonder if the fine cheese taste
later.
is when you cook, maybe.
Peter, I want to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule. You got kids, you got a
got
wife,
2 kids, a
you
job.
got a home,
Yeah.
you got critters at home.
Hmm.
It took a lot of time for you to come out here and get in your car, come here, but did you have fun?
I had a great time.
And you saw some things you hadn't seen before.
And I've got some food to bring home with me.
And if
Yeah.
you want any more of what we've got, you're welcome to it. Well, thank you so much again. And if we get another rain, something starts popping up unusual, might I give you a call?
Absolutely.
Thank
Come
you very
poke
much.
around, yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Now we've got some mushrooms here and we're gonna make something special.
I'm
A
excited.
la Raul, my old buddy.
Ooh.
I think he would approve of this.
Okay.
But first, recently we got some bad news. Don Everly has passed away.
All right.
Don Everly was a fantastic human being. Years and years and years ago, I got to visit with him and even sing with him. Got to do a concert with him. Got to do Phil's part all the way through.
Wow.
I found some tapes not too long ago.
You look like a baby in them.
I was a baby. That goes way back. And there's some interviews on there that have never aired before. He talks
Wow.
about his musical influences, the first record he's got. So let's take a visit with Don. What a wonderful person. Let's take a walk back into time, way back.
Today we're in Muhlenberg County and we have 2 special guests. First of all, it's Don Everly from the
Hey
Everly
there.
Brothers.
Good to be here, Tim.
It's a wonderful thrill to have you on the show.
Well, believe me, this is my pleasure.
And we've got Mr. Pace, who is Mr. Everly's science teacher, correct?
He was my science teacher when I was in junior high.
Yeah.
Right out of grade school, went down to the junior high school in Shenandoah, Iowa, and him and his wife, Mrs. Pace, she taught me penmanship, Palmer method, and Mr. Pace taught me science and straightened me out.
Was he bad in class here?
Oh, I was a terrible student. No, he'll save you the
Not
trouble.
the best student, but
Yeah.
he was genuine.
Yeah.
And so was his folks.
Well, we've been out there trying to catch a few crappie today. They're not hitting yet, but we're going to catch them.
Oh, yeah.
And even if we don't,
I
look
don't.
what
It
a
doesn't
place.
bother me at all.
Look what a wonderful place.
We got fish.
Gorgeous place.
Yeah, isn't it wonderful here?
Now, we're staying at the
Lake Malone
Inn,
Yeah.
which is now owned by you.
Yeah,
And
well-
there's some guitar picking that goes on there occasionally?
Yeah, well, tonight there'll be some.
Yeah?
Yeah, Friday and Saturday nights we just let whoever comes around play,
Oh, man.
and that's what it's going to be around. It's kind of casual.
Oh yeah, we talked earlier about Eddie Pennington.
Yeah.
Who carries on that Merle Travis
He
style.
sure
What was-
does.
What was your buddy's name that's standing with you that's going to pick tonight?
Oh, Royce.
Yeah, and I have heard his name mentioned throughout the guitar playing.
Royce and I are childhood friends.
Right.
When we'd come, we didn't go to school here in Kentucky, but every summer we spent our summers here because the radio would go off the air up here. Farmers were busy working, so
Yeah.
we didn't have to. We'd entertain them during the winter. So we come down here a lot. We had a lot of friends. Billy Harley's coming in tonight. Actually, another childhood friend of mine. We still do what we do. Now we get to be kids at it, but we're older. We're kids, but we get to be older at it.
What are you
Whatever.
now, like 28, 29?
I'm 20. I'm going to be 30 next week.
Really? Well, you're the same age as I am.
And your dad
My
was a
dad
thumb
was
picker.
a thumb picker,
Yeah.
coal miner, thumb picker, and that thumb pick guitar got him out of the mines up
That's
to
a good,
Chicago.
That's a good place to get away from.
Yeah, well, he got out of the mines with the guitar. That's what saved him. He went in the mines when he was 12 years old.
Now, Muhlenberg County, I guess you were born in Muhlenberg
Yeah,
County.
born in Brownie, Kentucky. Actually, it's not here anymore. That they did haul that one up and haul it away. They hauled it away.
They hauled it away.
Hauled it away.
You eventually ended up in Chicago? at
Well, it
some
was
point?
Chicago. Worked on radio there. Dad did. Then I joined him in Iowa. We moved around a lot. Those shows didn't last that long.
Right.
We're a bit like itinerant musicians. we go where the job was,
Yeah.
you know, and they like to hear that music up there.
Right.
So Dad was successful.
Now, Don, what were some of your earliest influence? What did you listen to?
Well, I was working on radio so early. The very first song I ever learned that was "Paper Doll" by the Mills Brothers in Chicago. I was living in Chicago at the time, and evidently that got in my ear and stuck in my ear so much that my father, I was about 5 years old, he took me down to, this is during the war, World War II, took me down to a little place where the soldiers would send home spoken letters on plastic recordings, and recorded me singing
Paper Doll?
"Paper Doll."
You still got that?
My mother's got it. Somewhere out there. But that was my. Then I liked all that I heard on the radio, and I lived in an Italian neighborhood, and I liked the music that they had on the radio, because everybody's windows was open, and the radio was playing. You walk down the street. It was the first TV show we did in New York with Vic Damone. Summer replacement for Como.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. He sent me off. The way he was dressed, he was so cool. And we were just all straight out of the hills down here, and asked him where he got his shoes, where he got his clothes, and so we started going to the places he went. And if you look at the old pictures, you'll see Phil and I, Buddy Holly, and a lot of them were dressed the same because we told everybody else where he got his clothes. So we all looked like Vic Damone.
How long were you in Kentucky before the came?
Oh, not very long at all. I was just an infant. But here's what, I was on the train, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. If you're from Kentucky, you come home.
Yeah.
You earn a few bucks and you come home and spend it. You come home to Kentucky. That's where the families were. Grandmas and all of them didn't move. And the families didn't move. Most of my people are still here. They're buried, either buried here or they're living here. And both sides of the family. They're from here. One of my dear friends, writer, one of the great writers from this area, you know, he's born in Chicago. So was Phil, but they were from Kentucky. I mean, so you happen to be born in Chicago. That meant that you were working there.
Right.
It didn't mean that you were from there. It meant you happened to be, your dad was working there. No,
Kentucky,
you're from Kentucky.
It's just home.
It's home.
It's home.
This used to be a schoolhouse.
Oh, okay.
This building didn't, but the site was a schoolhouse.
Right.
And that was the well for the schoolhouse. And of course it's covered good now so nobody can fall in. Made a little wishing well out of it.
You got a little pond right back
There's
over
a
here?
pond over here.
Do some bluegill fishing?
Yeah. It's called Lake Adela now.
Lake Adela, after
Yeah,
your wife?
After my wife. Dream, 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 when I want you in my arms, when I want you, and all your charms, whenever I want you, all I have to do is dream. Dream, 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 when I feel blue in the night, and I need you to hold me tight whenever I want you. All I have to do is dream. I can make you mine, taste your lips of wine, anytime, night or day. Only trouble is, gee whiz, I'm dreaming my life away. I need you so that I could die. I love you so, and that is why whenever I want you, all I have to do is dream. Dream, 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 dream. Dream, 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 dream.
You know what's great about music is those folks can be gone. Some of the great artists are gone, But all you have to do is push a button,
Yes,
and you can hear them singing all over again.
that's right.
They're with us forever. Like mushrooms are with us forever.
That's right.
Especially during the wet and rainy season. Now, we went out and found some of those, and you saw us digging around on the ground to find some. Here's some that we're going to try to make something special out of today. Some things that we found. These are the puffballs we found up by Mojo. These are Nikki's favorite. She likes these little puffballs
They're
here,
cute.
these pear-shaped puffballs. Now, you don't want to wash your mushrooms. They just get nasty and slimy. And hey, if you get a little dirt, then you're getting
Be
some
all right.
minerals for the day. One time we had somebody else just said, there was dirt on that celery. And you know what I found out several years later? Celery
Grows in the dirt.
in the dirt.
I didn't know that. Wow.
So knock it off as best you can. Now Raul, our old buddy Raul, he had so many tricks and he had a lot of combinations that you can use in just about everything. It's funny how you can take this out of this recipe, this combination over here, and you think that would really be good with this.
Right.
So we're going to do a spin on a French onion soup. Typically with a French onion soup, you would use a dry white wine, but we're going to use a red full-bodied wine to accentuate that flavor. I think this is going to be great. So what we're going to do is we're going to take some butter, then we're going to take 2 large onions, and we cut them top to bottom. That way you kind of have that better shape and they kind of
Yeah.
stay together. Oh, beautiful, beautiful stuff. Saute those. Then we're taking our mushrooms there, cup and a half, 2 cups.
At least 2 cups, I'd say.
And you can use store-bought mushrooms if you like. Then we'll saute the mushrooms. Then we're going to come back and deglaze with our red wine. You can go up to 2 cups. Now what we're going to do is we're going to reduce that down. We're going to get all that red wine flavor into those mushrooms. And then you're going to come back with your broth, 4 to 8 cups, depending on how many you're cooking for. While that's cooking, some bouillon. You want to take some fresh thyme. Now we're going to take quite a bit of fresh thyme and a couple bay leaves, say 3 bay leaves. Salt, a little pepper, and a little, just for a little bit of sweetness, what do you think we're going to put in there?
Red currant jelly.
Red currant jelly. Let me tell you a little secret about Raul. He'd always do this when he was cooking. If he knew he was going to be on camera, he'd say, and he'd reach into his pocket of his apron. You know what he had in his pocket?
Sugar.
Sugar. He said French chefs always sneak some sugar in
yeah.
there. But this will bring just a little sweetness out of it. The next step, we're going to let this simmer for about 45 minutes till it all reduces down and gets wonderful. At the end, when it gets just about where we want it, we're going to take our ramekins, we're going to put our soup in that, then we're going to take a couple pieces of baguette, lay on top. Now that's going to kind of soak that up, become
Yummy.
part of the soup. Then put some cheese over top of that. We got some Gruyere cheese, or we got some smoked Gouda that we can put on top of that. Put that in the oven for about 10 minutes. At about 450, you can even go full broil if you watch it. Bring it out, and what do you have?
Yum, Papa.
Yum Papa.
That's right.
All right, let's do it.
Yum. I'm excited.
Now I know your taste buds, and I know this is right up your alley.
I love
so I'm gonna
onion
let you just dig in
soup.
there.
I love anything. I
You
love
got
mushrooms,
bread and
some
cheese
bread.
and onions.
Ooh, it's all gooey. That's really good.
So you didn't get any mushrooms.
I didn't, did I?
There's your one. Here's your one.
Oh, I do need a mushroom.
Gotta get a
These are from right in the field. Delicious.
This is restaurant grade food.
It is delicious.
If you would try this at home, I guarantee you, your friends would love you and throw money at you.
That's right.
$100 bills and bigger.
Exactly.
So, well, you know what? Our half hour's up.
Yes,
so
it is.
before we eat this, if you wanted such a recipe, Ms. Farmer, where would you go?
I go to timfarmerscountrykitchen.com.
Lots of recipes, how-tos there. Also, we have a Facebook page. We'd like to see you there, but it's very difficult.
It is difficult.
How do you get on that Facebook page?
You hit like.
Ooh, that doesn't sound that difficult.
No, it's not.
So, it's all about
Good times,
good friends.
super good eats. Way
And
to go.
we'll see you next week on Tim Farmer's Country Kitchen.
This is delicious.
Dig in, Ms. Farmer.